When you first start to use Rental Manager, one of the first things that you need to do after you've installed your program is to set up the global user preferences and the sales taxes. This video will show you how to set up the sales taxes in the program. So you're going to start from your main screen. You're going to scroll down to the Setup Lists, and right at the top of the lists there is a Sales Tax Rates tab. Click on it, and it opens to a blue screen where you can add your own sales tax rates that you have in your state or province. And to show you what that will look like, we're just going to change to edit mode here. So when you change to edit mode, it takes you to a green screen, and that's where you can find all the information entered in the program and where you can edit it. So if you look at the information that you need for your sales tax rate, you need a code. That can either be a number or a letter, and you can have, there's 2 placeholders here, so you can have up to 2. You could start even with like 1, 2, 3, or you can use a single letter or a 2-digit or 2-letter code. You put the actual rate in, and if it's less than 10%, it will be decimal 0 and then your code. If it is more than 10%, it will be decimal 1 and whatever. This is 13%. In Ontario, we have a harmonized tax that is 13%, so it's decimal 13. There's no 0 in front of that 1. You need a name for your sales tax. For example, what we're using here is the harmonized sales tax, so it's HST. You could have the name of your state, or you might just have rental tax or sales tax. That is strictly up to the user and the state or province that you work in. A description of the tax might be beneficial for you to keep. It is not necessary for the program in the way it works. So these 3 things are mandatory: the code, the rate, the name. If you have a sales tax and then your local government changes the amount of the sales tax, you would come back in here, and you can see how we had to do this for our GST. The Canadian government changed the amount, and so to keep the taxes straight in the program with what we charged on orders up to the date that the rate changed and then after the date that the rate changed, we changed the code from G to G5, and the tax was originally 6% and then it changed to 5%. We kept the name the same because that's the name that shows up on our orders and invoices, but these 2 things we changed. So let's just go and add one in. We're going to change back to add mode. This is where you will add your new codes. Oh, and one more thing before we do that. Make sure you put in a code for no sales tax. I've just called it no, and my rate, of course, is 0.000, etc. And I've put in the word none as the name, because we have 3 open tax fields, and if you're not pulling a tax into one of them, you need the setting of no or none, so the program knows it doesn't have to look for another sales tax rate. Now let's go and put in a tax rate. So I'm going to put one in for the state of Illinois, and it'll just have 2 letters, IL, and a sales tax rate of 6.25%. So it would look like that. Remember, we have to have a 0 before the 6 if it's less than 10%. And this could just be called Illinois sales tax. That's all we need. Oops. fix that up. There. We don't need a description. If I was going to put in a sales tax rate for British Columbia, I could call it BC, and the British Columbia sales tax rate is changing at some point this summer from 12% to 11%, but that's more than 10, so you would have your 1 and then all your zeros. And I might just call it BC sales tax instead of the whole long name. And you can see I'm not a typist. There we go. And I don't need a description. That's all you have to do. So then as you close the door, that saves the sales tax. And now to pull it into my program, I'm going up into my global user preferences. It just takes a sec to open it. And there are lots of other screens that we'll look at in another tutorial, but for this one we want the financial tab. And as we click on it, you can see I already have pulled into this program the HST sales tax for Ontario, but I will pull in the one we just put into the program, the Illinois, and then I've got no for the sales taxes I'm not using. So if you have a sales tax, if you're in the States and you have a sales tax for your state, but then you have county taxes, you can use these other two rate field boxes here to accommodate your county taxes. And that's all that you need to do to set up the sales tax. If you are in a province in Canada, you probably have to have your company tax number here. I know that a few states do that, but not too many. And then to make that visible, you just click here and it will get printed on your order contracts, your rental contracts, and your invoices, which is mandatory in Canada. That's all you need to get your sales tax rates ready to apply in the program. Click the door, come back to the main screen, and you're finished.